Northwest cattle farmer has suffered severe losses after 53 Bonsmara cows were struck by lightning over the weekend. Christopher Manas, who was a registered Bonsmara stud farmer between Lichtenburg and Zierist, says the incident is a huge setback. The animals were seeking shelter under a tree during a heavy thunderstorm. A delegation from the Northwest Department of Agriculture is expected to visit the affected farm later today. All right, let's get more analysis on as well as tips on this. We have wrote in Mr. Trevor Manas, who is the Managing Director at Blitz Detect, as we look, of course, at the safety measures that one can take during lightning. Trevor, great having you on SA Today this afternoon. Welcome. So we are on a constant drive and mission to educate and assist our viewers in various matters and protection against inclement weather conditions like thunderstorms and lightning. We have recently seen a farm where almost all the livestock, as you've heard in my intro, especially the cows, were struck dead by lightning. Starting with the farmers of livestock, are there any ways really to protect their cattle from lightning?
Oh, that's good afternoon, and to your viewers. That's a brilliant question. Let me start off by saying that the probability of damage or death to cattle or livestock is far greater than that of human beings. And the reason for that is because the biggest lightning fatality cause is what we call the step potential. So, for example, lightning would strike a nearby tree and travel in the ground in the form of a wave, and then travel up a person's foot and then down the other foot. And the further apart your feet are, the greater the risk of fatality is. So if we take that into the scenario where we have cattle or livestock, we can tell people to put their feet together, but we can't tell a cow or a horse or a pig, for example, to put their feet together because they're four-legged animals, and therefore their feet are much further apart, and therefore they're much more vulnerable to lightning fatalities, put it that way.
So what can farmers do then, Trevor?
Well, the best thing to do is, if possible, to herd the cows in an area which has a concrete floor or a paved floor where the resistance levels are much higher than the normal ground. Lightning, the nature of the animal, will always follow the path of least resistance. So therefore, having a high resistant covering, that would lower the risk substantially.
Now, often in homes and certain types of structures, Trevor, you often see a very long and tall lightning rod for external structural protection. But what happens indoors? I mean, there's been various myths that we hear, like don't take a shower during a storm or be near any open body of water, and to cover all reflective surfaces like mirrors. But what are the correct safety measures to undertake? Because we're trying to understand the science behind lightning.
Okay, so if there's one thing you should remember, and it's the mantra that goes as follows: when thunder roars, go indoors. So if you're hearing thunder, you should proceed to what we call a safe shelter, which is a fully or properly constructed building with an electrical system that has a floor, it has a roof, it has walls. You will be perfectly safe within a properly constructed building. Another safe shelter is a fully enclosed motor vehicle, such as a motor car or a bus or something to that effect. So those are safe shelters. You definitely don't want to be outside. You definitely don't want to be standing near any tall objects or open ground. And if, for example, you are caught in a thunderstorm and you are outside, then you should actually put your feet together. The large lightning pole does nothing for the human safety aspect, that is to protect the structure. In fact, less than 1% of all lightning fatalities are from a direct strike. The major cause of fatality is what we call the step potential, which I explained earlier.
But how do I put my feet together in a car if I'm a motorist, Trevor, and I'm a pedestrian that was walking along a bridge or a pathway, and I find myself caught in a thunderstorm? What can I do?
Well, the best thing to be is vigilant. So if you're hearing thunder activity, you should look for a safe shelter. That is the best advice that any lightning specialist can give you. And the important thing to remember is that if you evacuate into a safe shelter, such as a a properly constructed building or a motor vehicle, you should stay in that structure at least 30 minutes after the storm has passed. In actual fact, more people are injured or killed going back out when they think it's safe than actually before the storm arrives, wherever the location is.
And then, Trevor, if you do get across an incident where someone close to you or in the vicinity of where you are is actually struck by lightning, what are the safety measures, the corrective measures there that can be applied so that, the step, what did you call it, the step potential does not affect everybody else that is around the victim?
Well, these incidents happen in microseconds. So if you see someone has been struck by lightning, you can safely administer first aid. You will not get shocked from the current transfer from the injured person. And the best form of first aid that anyone can perform on a lightning victim is CPR. So doing the coronary heart palpitations, the mouth-to-mouth breathing, that is the best or the most effective way of resuscitating that person who has been struck by lightning. If I can add to that, 90% of all lightning victims will survive the lightning strike, but often they will suffer with a disability after the event.
Trevor, thank you so much for those safety tips here on SA Today. Mr. Trevor Manas, Managing Director at Blitz Detect.